everyone, a very warm welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to talk about logical reasoning section of BITSAT. So, this video will cover a lot of tips and tricks for all the sections of logical reasoning. I mean all the topics of logical reasoning. We will cover them in detail and you have to stick till the end so that you get to know all the things. So as a basic thing, you must be aware that in BITSAT, logical reasoning comprises of 20 questions, and these 20 questions are not asked out of random. They are very specifically from only pre-decided 10 topics. So based on those 10 topics, you get 20 questions. On an average, we can assume that for every student, there would be 2 questions per topic of logical reasoning. So a very good thing about logical reasoning is that although there are 20 questions, there are 60 marks, but they, if done correctly, can be achieved in hardly say 10 to 15 minutes. And it is a very big boost which can be given to your score, because like if someone gets a good score in logical reasoning, they can be ahead of others very nicely. However, there is a catch in it. What is that catch? That catch is an illusion we have around the logic. Being a science student, we feel ourselves entitled that we are always very logical. We know how to solve logical questions, and we do not maybe need a very special or a dedicated approach to study logical reasoning questions. Now, this approach might at times help you, but it is not the best approach for many students. The reason is, although logical reasoning is something which is intuitively developed in you, it is fine, but at the same time, if you study it very carefully, only then you can get good marks in it. So we will try to go through all the topics which are included in reasoning of BITSAT, and we will try to be, I'll in fact show you how to solve some questions, and towards the end we will be discussing some tips and tricks around them. So BITSAT logical reasoning, it comprises 2 kinds of reasoning. One is verbal reasoning, other is non-verbal reasoning. So when we say verbal reasoning, essentially verbal reasoning means anything which can be conveyed through words, which can be conveyed through letters, numbers or language. And when you say non-verbal reasoning, essentially it means the reasoning which is based on patterns, based on figures, that kind of reasoning. So BITSAT has both of them. So if you see the topics of like verbal reasoning, there is analogy, classification, series completion, logical deduction based on reading passage, and there is chart logic. We will take one example of each. And in non-verbal reasoning, my friends, there is pattern perception, there is figure formation and analysis, there is paper cutting, figure matrix and rule detection. So let's start. Let's try to do one question of each so that you get feel of each of them. So the first question we are doing, it is based on the topic of analogy. So basically 3 words are given to you. Initial 2 words have some, you can say, analogy between them. You have to identify a 4th word so that 3rd and 4th word also have same analogy. So basically if you see, book and cover have what kind of relation? The relation is that a cover protects the book, right? So if you see a painting can be put on wall, painting can be of any color, that is all fine, but the purpose of frame is to protect the painting. So the correct answer for this analogy based question would be D, which is frame. Okay, so this kind of thing, many times students jump to directly options to see like can they get the answer? No. First try to think like, are you able to build a relation between these 2 words? Once you are able to do that, then try to look at the options. If that is not happening, it's fine. As a cue, you can look at the options also. Okay, let's move to next topic. Classification. Classification is something where it is also known as odd one out, right? So you will be given 4 words. One of them would be different from the other set. So idea is to identify, trying to find the relation between all of them. So if you see these words, dodge, flee, duck, avoid, out of these 4 words, 3 have a very similar meaning. So basically dodge, duck and avoid, all of them essentially means to evade, in a way to avoid the situation. However, flee has a more direct meaning. It means to run away from that situation. Okay, so they look very close to each other, but they have different meaning. So dodge, duck and avoid are in a way synonyms. Flee is different from them. So the answer would be B, flee. Let's move to the next topic, friends. It is series completion. So there are certain terms associated with them. So 6, 13, 25, 51, 101, various terms are given. I think a very obvious guess anyone can take, and whenever I am doing these questions, you can always pause the video, just try to solve the question by yourself before I explain it. Okay, so very obvious guess anyone would take would be, maybe you will try to add the numbers or kind of try to find the difference between the two numbers. If you go a little step ahead of it, you can relate that 6 and 13 are basically, so 6 times 2 plus 1. So that gives you 13. However, using the same logic, can you get 25? Can 13 into 2 plus 1 give you 25? It doesn't, right? So what it means is that this series is not as simple as you think. But interestingly, if instead of this plus, if you make it minus, then yes, it is equal to 25. If we go to the next term, what is happening? 25 multiplied by 2 plus 1, that is 51. So essentially, one time it is multiplied by 2 plus 1, the other time it is multiplied by 2 minus 1, then again multiplied by 2. So all this sequence kind of runs away. Okay, so what we have to see, here it was plus 1, here it is minus 1, here again it is plus 1, here it was minus 1, so again now it would be plus 1. So 101 into 2 plus 1. So 202 plus 1, your answer would be 203. Okay, so this was a trick question. It is not as simple as you see it. It is not just into 2 plus 1 and then you get disheartened that no, this logic is not getting applied. You have to be little bit cautious around it. Okay, let's move to next question. So logical deduction, it can have various meanings. Okay, so however, very specifically, BITSAT syllabus has mentioned reading passage as the topic for logical deduction. So what it means, you would be given a passage or a particular kind of information. For that information, you have to see that whether the kind of derived logic is correct or not. So let's go through this thing. There are certain lines of information. All full-time faculty members at a particular college are required to attend a monthly academic counseling meeting. Fine. So this word is there. Some faculty members are also part of the research committee. Okay. So some are also part of research committee which meets weekly. Okay. So all professors, they have to attend the monthly meeting, but some of them are also research committee members who meet weekly. However, no member of research committee is exempted from attending the academic counseling meeting. So it does not mean that you are in committee, so you can skip the academic meeting. Okay. Additionally, only those who have served at least 1 year at the college can be part of research committee. So basically, putting condition, who would be the part of research committee. What kind of questions would be asked, my friend? They will ask, based on the above passage, which of the following conclusions can be logically inferred? All members of research committee attend monthly academic council meeting. Yes, in the first line you got that answer, but do not skip the other options. Always go through them so that if you are making a fallacy, at least you can get aware. Faculty members who haven't completed a year at college cannot attend the academic counseling meeting. No, this is wrong. What they cannot do, they cannot become part of research committee, but they can attend this academic meeting. Only research committee members attend the academic council meeting? No. Research committee members, they attend weekly meeting also, they attend monthly meeting also. Some faculty members attend neither. No, this word in itself is wrong. None of them is exempted. It was very clearly mentioned. So this option is also wrong, and thus our first option got verified. So this is the case of logical deduction based on passage reading. Okay, so we will move to the next topic. This topic is called chart logic. Again, as it is part of verbal reasoning, there are some numbers given. So friends, what we have to see, so basically I think a very intuitive thing always in your mind can be that what if you add these two numbers and get the third number. I think that is the most obvious thing which comes to anyone's mind, but without even doing that you can clearly feel that 1 and 6 cannot give you 0 at the end, right? So that feeling should be very clear in your mind. So that logic should be straight away gone. Other thing can be maybe 70 minus 56 give you 21, not sure, but I think we are aware if 70 if we subtract 56 from 70, you are not getting 21 at least, you would get something ending with 4. So why I am saying this, because how your mental calculation run, okay, that you have to do. So both the things I rejected on this basis. Now friends, what you can do, you have to look at the options very carefully. You just take these two numbers and find their difference. Okay, what is the difference? 56, 21. 56 minus 21, it is 35. And the moment you get 35, your eyes would be lit up, because 35 times 2 is 70. Okay, so essentially the third number is difference of first two numbers multiplied by 2. Okay, we have identified the logic, but is it a correct logic or not? Let's see. 87, 45. So 87, 45. What is it giving you? 42. 42 when multiplied by 2 gives you 84. Okay, so our logic is correct. 180 minus 115. 180 minus 115. It is 65. 65 when multiplied by 2, it gives you 130. Okay, so that way we have solved the question. So you see, the logic is there, but it is not as simple as you think that, okay, no, just by seeing the question you can find the logic. No, you have to practice, you have to think in various directions and then find the logic. Okay, so the another topic which is included in BITSAT logical reasoning, it is pattern perception. Okay, so essentially what you can see, a complete figure is given but 1/4 of it is missed. So basically you have to identify this quarter based on other 3 quarters. You can very clearly see this one and this one, they are kind of mirror images of each other, right? So essentially we have to find the mirror image of this. You can try to see that this thing should be there, but not a great option, because yeah, but it is fine because these two have this you can say line which completes the square, so that would look nice. But what you get from it is that option A and B can be true, this option C can also be true, but maybe from the other side, maybe from this side. So we will keep that possibility open. Then let's see if we move away from the center. Okay, so in chemistry you study center of symmetry, right? So if this is the center, so if you are moving in this direction, you can expect that while moving in this direction also you should encounter 2 circles. Okay, so are you encountering 2 circles? Yes, you are encountering 2 circles. So these 2 options look good so far. If you move further, you will see a line or a diagonal towards the corner. So here should be a diagonal. So this diagonal is not present in this option, but it is present in option B. Hence, we can say that this option is correct. Okay, this option looks promising, but you can see that the circles are concentric. Okay, but in this case, the circles are not like this. Instead, they are like this. So this option is not correct. The correct answer would be option B. Okay, so friends, how you do paper cutting questions? So paper cutting questions are basically you have to very carefully see where the fold has been made and where the cut has been made. Okay, now if you see the first circle is drawn or folded into a semicircle, then semicircle is folded further into, what do we call it, a sector. Okay, and it is a quadrant also, by the way. But idea is, look very carefully, the cut has been made only on the right side. Okay. Now the moment this unfolds, the moment this side unfolds, what is going to happen? This portion will have a square. Okay, this portion will have a square. So when it unfolds like this portion will have a square, and then when that semicircle further unfolds, this square would be shifted on the upper side also. So there would be only two squares, and these squares would be limited towards the right side because the cut you made and the kind of fold you made was on the right side. Okay, so that has to be kept in mind. This one is rejected, this one is rejected, too many squares, two less squares. This one is fine, but this would have worked well when the fold was along the center, then it would have been symmetric along the center. So this is your right answer. Okay, because the cut or the square remains towards the right only. So that's how you think of the question of paper cutting. They are very tempting questions. They can always trick you. You are bound to think that okay, most symmetrical figure is the easiest answer, but no, that is not the case always. Let's move to the next topic, friends. This is called pattern perception. I would say out of non-verbal reasoning, this is the most difficult kind of question to be done. Reason is because it's like these four images in your mind, you have to collect them, you have to arrange them and then see which figure can be formed from these four images. Okay, that is a difficult task, but if you can visualize that, it is very nice. Other thing could be trying to find out parts which can be identified exactly here. Okay, so that is the other thing. So we will go one by one. So first thing I can feel is, let's try to identify this good block. Okay, let's see, can we find this block? Okay, this block comes very close to it, but you can see one side is slanted. It is not exactly same. So just by looking at this block, I am able to reject this option. Okay, let's go to other options. There you can see, okay, this block also tries to be the same, but size difference is way too much. Just by looking at this block, I can reject this also. Okay, so two options I have been able to reject simply by looking for this good block. Okay, now let's try to see the other options. If you try to see this option, you find a very peculiar shape. This shape you see, right? Do you think this shape is present anywhere? If you very carefully see, this shape is not present anywhere, which gives you a hint that maybe the correct option should be option 3. And again, I would say, the moment you realize this, the moment you got this nudge, you should try to verify it also. Okay, so how you can verify it? This thing sits here. This thing, my friends, is sitting here. This small triangle is sitting here, and this one kind of shape is sitting here. Okay, so that's how two options we eliminated. Third option we eliminated based on a shape which is not present in the option. And what are we left with? We are left with option 3 as the answer. Okay, so this approach we used for pattern perception questions, but generally speaking, I feel this is the most difficult kind of questions which you generally encounter in BITSAT. Figure matrix question is there. Quite interesting questions, frankly. You have to again identify a pattern among these rows, and then based on that you have to look at this. Okay, let's try to see. Let's try to see what is happening. If you see this thing and this thing, they are common and they are preserved in the third figure. Okay, the common portion of first figure and the second figure is preserved in the third figure. What was not common? This cross was not common, but you can't see a cross here. What you can see? The end points of that cross. The end points of that cross, they were added in the final figure. Okay. Now this is an analogy, this is a logic which I have built in my mind. First verify whether you have built it correctly or not. How would you verify? If this logic works in this figure also, it means you have built correct logic. So basically now let's extend the logic, our own developed logic, to the second figure. Let's see. So you can see, friends, this square is common in figure 1 and figure 2. That's why it is placed as it is here. Okay. So it is fine. However, this cross is only there in the figure 1, and what has happened? The corner points of this cross, they are placed in the final figure. Okay. So same logic we will apply here. This plus kind of sign, it is common in both, and these would be the corner points of this thing. So you have to see which out of the 4 option places 4 circles at the corner. So you can clearly see option B is the correct option. Okay. So that's how you do question of figure matrix. Okay. Let's move to the next topic. This is rule detection. I won't say the most interesting of the topics. At times question can be simple, at times questions can be tricky. What is the rule given? The series becomes complex as it proceeds. Okay. So what you have to see, friends, so you kind of travel across all the figures in a row and you see whether successive figures are becoming simpler or they are becoming complex. Okay. So let's start with option 1. You can see this line was there and suddenly this line is not there. Okay. Simply the figure has become simpler. It has not become complex. You removed the line, you made that figure simpler. So this option can be rejected. Okay. Let's go to this option. What happened? You added a line here. So this line has been added. Okay. When we move to next figure, this line has been added. Okay. No worries. When you move further, you will see more lines added. So clearly we can feel that this successive row is becoming complex. So for now, I think this can be the correct answer. But again, I do not want to overestimate. I do not want to give answer too quickly. I want to move to the next options also. Here, I think from very quick glance, you can see here 2 boxes are there, but only 1 box is here. Very easily you can say figure is not becoming complex, it is becoming simpler. So this option is also rejected. And again, if you see first 2 options, you can see you have removed the line, which means you have made the figure simpler, not complex. Again, this option is also rejected. Okay. So these are the kind of questions you encounter in rule detection, and that's how you kind of you can say get hold of them. Fine. So essentially we have covered example of all the 10 topics which are included in BITSAT Logical Reasoning. However, there are some final tips for each of them. So analogy, classification or series. Whenever you encounter these questions, okay, try to look for special numbers. So what is a special number? Special number simply means that maybe whatever is the previous number, is it multiplied by 2? Is it multiplied by 3? Whatever is the previous number, if it is just squared, if it is just cubed, after making the square, have you added 1 from it? Have you added 1 to it? Have you subtracted 1 from it? So these are kind of special numbers. So for them, you should be looking always particularly in these kind of questions. Isoti, it seems like a kind of mnemonic. What it essentially means, it does not have a full form. Isoti essentially is, if you see E, J, O, T and Y, so just the numbering of alphabets, this is like 5, 10, 15, 20 and 25. Okay, there would be questions in the topics where you might be asked that say what is the numbering. You won't be directly asked, but suppose you are checking for what is the number of V. Now it does not make sense to go from say ABCD to V. You simply remember this is OT. You know that 20 is here, so STUV. So if this is 20, this is bound to be 22. Okay. So by that logic, you can very easily identify the number associated with alphabets. Okay. Because in these kind of questions, sometimes they are also asked. So remember this mnemonic. Chart logic. So chart logic, you remember the question we did there. So what was the approach? Identify the greatest number. Okay. Usually that approach is the best approach. Identify the greatest number and find the ways to reach that number through other numbers. Okay. You see how the addition of other two numbers, how the difference of other two numbers, or difference multiplied by 2 or addition multiplied by 2 is giving you the third big number or not. Okay. So that is the way of doing the questions of chart logic. Okay. Let's move to maybe the last tip for the video. Pattern perception, figure formation, figure metrics. Basically it works around elimination. Okay, you saw how we eliminated the options very quickly. We kind of took a very particular shape and we saw was that shape included in the option or not. Okay. Other option is that you very specifically look at the corners and the centers, because these are the points where any special kind of, you can say, defect would be there. That defect or that additional feature would help you identify the correct option. So friends, these tips, they can be helpful in building the logic. Of course, here I have just taken very selected examples. For every topic, there are at least 5 to 7 kind of questions which can be built. Okay, but the good thing is once you identify those 5 to 7 kind of topics, you can always practice them very nicely. If you spend good 1 hour spending like reading, understanding the theory of those topics, after that it is just matter of practice. Okay, and we of course have our BITSAT English Logical Reasoning crash course where we specifically deal with these 10 topics of BITSAT Logical Reasoning, because we understand the value of these 60 marks. They can be a big boost to your score. Okay, so what I just did was a glimpse of it. We cover that course in 20 live lectures. It is not just a kind of recording. You are free to answer, you are free to ask questions and everything. Very interactive class. So if you feel that this video was helpful, it could be, like I would say, it was just a tip of the iceberg. If you join the crash course, there is much more. And yeah, that's it from my side. All the very best for your BITSAT attempt. Practice all the things, but yes, but a little attention on logical reasoning can help you improve your score by good 50-60 points. Thank you very much. All the best.